Good morning, Ricky Tang here, and you find me, as is often the case, outside Fraser's Motorcycles of Gloucester. And today I'm going to take the Vespa GTS 310 out for a spin. This is the GTS Super, so one up from the base trim level. Nice looking machine, nice colour as well, so let's get riding. So those with a long memory of my channel, or those interested in Vespas, may know that I've ridden the predecessor of this machine, the GTS 300. Now normally you would expect a YouTuber such as myself to recommend that you, dear viewer, go back and watch that previous video. But I watched it myself yesterday, and I'd forgotten how awful my editing is on that video. I was all over the place. Yeah, it wasn't a very coherent video, but still somehow popular. Hopefully I'll do a better job this time. So back in the day, when I rode the GTS 300, that was the first scooter I'd ridden in quite a long time. Like 30 years long. And since then, I have ridden a couple of other scooter-shaped machines. Namely the Yamaha X-Max 300 and BMW C400X. Both those scooters, arguably, are a bit more sophisticated than the Vespa here, but they're also bigger and heavier. So I appreciate this kind of small, compact machine. If you're a smaller person, then light is right in many ways when it comes to motorcycles and scooters. First impressions though, let's cut to the chase. Something I'm immediately very impressed about on this machine is the smoothness. The smoothness of the engine. I wouldn't quite call it electric vehicle levels of smoothness. However, it is very smooth. The only time it isn't really smooth is at tick over. So it is quite lumpy and thumpy at tick over. Everything vibrates quite a bit, including the mirrors and the seat. But as soon as you move away, it smooths out really well. So the GTS 310 is a true 310cc engine now. If I remember rightly, the GTS 300 was about 278, maybe 276, 272 cc, somewhere in that area. So quite the upgrade in terms of engine capacity. Can't do the maths in my head. If I think too hard, I'll probably just crash into a hedge. And although the GTS 300 never felt slow particularly for what it was, the engine here with that smoothness, yeah, it does feel a little more self-assured, a little more grown up. Certainly not an overwhelming sense of torque and grunt, but it's efficient. Enough, I think, to put a smile on your face. With a CVT gearbox, meaning, you know, you don't have to worry about gears. It's an easy machine to ride. Now here I am, I've put myself into a urban environment straight away. The things I do for you. And where are we? 10 miles an hour, something like that. We do have dinky 12-inch wheels. But feels very stable. You know, this machine's got a low centre of gravity. And it doesn't feel like you're a liability at slow speeds. Quality of this road is not the best. Sorry, Stonehouse, but it's the truth. But it's not getting upset with the road surface. Now, if you are a new rider, you may have non-scooterist friends who aren't used to Vespas and things with small wheels. And if they hear that you're interested in a Vespa, they may say, oh, I don't know about those scooters with small wheels. I've heard they're twitchy and unstable. Hit a pothole and you're off, that sort of thing. But the bike generally, the road holding at these speeds, feels fine. There's next to no deflection in the steering. Oh, that was a bad one. So, but still, soaked it up. So I'm finding that the suspension is a little on the firm side in its setup. It's not a cosseting or overly plush ride, but it's not too firm either. I think it's striking a pretty good balance in terms of bump comfort and road holding so far. We'll get onto some faster roads in a bit and we'll see what it's like at 60-ish miles an hour. I'm going to look down at the instruments here. Well, you will. I'll keep looking at where I'm going. That's probably a good idea. So this speedometer instrument panel setup, you can see, most definitely analog. If you want a digital dash, you would need to upgrade to the Super Tech model of this range. So with the LCD instrument panel down here, we do have some options, some chip options. You can push this little joystick on the left hand side here. You got trip time, trip A, trip B, time of day, reasonable amount of info. On the left hand side we got fuel range and fuel level, and on the right side we've got temperature, probably coolant temperature, engine temperature. Right, a bit of uphill now. Oh, let's get the camera up. So we've got a little bit of an uphill stretch. Let's slow down a little bit because I think it's only a 30-mile-an-hour limit. I've just come down to about 15 miles an hour. I'm interested to know how it will pull uphill here. You might not be able to tell because GoPros have a habit of flattening out the inclines. Oh, absolutely no trouble accelerating uphill here. I imagine even 2 up, it wouldn't be too much of a difficult issue. Now we're going to do a hill start. This will be fun. Ah, absolute piece of cake pulling away. Now I do recall when I rode the GTS 300, my conclusion at the time was it's a nice urban machine, nice inner city machine, but I thought there would be better options for intercity travel, for travelling between towns. There's machines that feel maybe a bit more secure, a little bit less flighty at speed, and certainly the low centre of gravity and the small wheels do give a, let's say, an unusual sensation when you're travelling more at speed and going around bends. So yeah, for this motorcyclist, a dyed-in-the-wool motorcyclist, it does feel a little weird. I feel a little vulnerable when I kind of lean over. But I think in about an hour's time, by the time I'm coming towards the end of the ride, I'll be pretty much used to it. I am being very lucky today, by the way. I'm not sure what the date is exactly, like 6th of October. Must be about 15 Celsius here. So it's reasonable temperature, sun's out, roads are dry. Very, very lucky with the weather for this ride. But I'm still appreciating the fact that my legs are well protected from the oncoming wind. And my legs do feel reasonably warm. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be if I was out on a normal motorbike without a large fairing to hide behind. Personally, me being me, I'll probably end up trying to fit a windscreen to it as well and try and get some of the wind off the top half of my body for higher speed travel. But generally, the ride in terms of wind is fine. There's no turbulence to speak of. Oh look, we've got a national. Let's get some speed up. So yeah, there is no turbulence, it's just wind pressure. It's actually really quiet at 60 miles an hour here. That's impressive. And because you may not travel an awful lot faster than this on a scooter like this, the wind pressure is actually really quite acceptable. But if I was riding this bike in the wind and in the rain, having all that hitting you going forward wouldn't be a very pleasant experience. Hence why I might want to screen personally if I was going to get one of these, for a bit more protection in inclement weather. The seat is firm but very comfortable. Quite a big seat, as you may know. Oh, I've got some overtaking to do. There we go. He's gone. I don't know about the second car. Nah, maybe not. So I've got the speed up now a little bit. Right, what's the suspension doing at these slightly higher speeds? Yeah, if you want a very comfortable ride, I think you have to look elsewhere. However, I do believe the rear shock absorber is preload adjustable. I might see if I can get down there, get down on the ground later on and see where the preload's set. But there seems to be a nice balance front to rear. Just feels a little sporty, let's say, as opposed to softly sprung. On the GTS 300 video, I certainly did get a little bit of pushback or a little bit of flack from people saying, what are you saying, this bike's not great for longer distances, you know, between towns, between cities. People tour on these machines for tens of thousands of miles. So yes, I accept that criticism or those comments. You can go long distances on anything. I was just basically saying there are potentially better choices for a more pleasurable experience on long distances. But with the smoothness of this engine and the kind of confident power delivery, I could certainly see myself revisiting my opinion and telling you that, yeah, absolutely, you could do big distances on this machine. You've got the storage under the seat, so that's nice for kind of packing things away out of sight. You could get a rear rack, you can get a top box. So storage or luggage capacity on this machine could be excellent. The throttle's quite light as well, so I don't imagine holding that open for hour after hour would be a big problem. And look at that acceleration. I do like the way this machine picks up. I'm going to say it again, it's smooth and it's easy to ride. The only thing that kind of goes against this bike a little bit is if you happen to have short legs. Similar comment to what I made on the GTS 300. I think the seat height is about 31 inches and I've got a 32-inch inside leg. And when I come to a stop, if I want to put both feet down, then I find that I can't flat foot it at all. I can get like the balls of both feet down, but if I want to get both feet down more confidently, then I might have to shuffle up towards the end of the seat first as I come to a stop. I'm actually just going to park in the car park of the office I used to work at. I worked at this office just down here for about 15 years. Let's just turn around. So there's nothing wrong with kind of leaning a little bit to the left, putting one foot down, flat-footed, absolutely fine. But yeah, both feet down is, if I sit forward, then I can do it. But for me, with my body size, 5'7", sitting that far forward feels a little unnatural. But if I was 5'4", then maybe I'd have no choice. But yeah, it's just slightly trickier to get both feet down confidently immediately. But if you have bigger legs, longer legs, not so much of an issue. But like I say, one foot, one side, or the other side, absolutely No bother at all. Handsome looking machine. I'll do another walk around, a proper walk around a little later on. I did notice there the traction control being a little bit over eager there, going over a bumpy little bit of road, and the traction control realised that the back wheel was kind of in the air and it cut the power. So yeah, if you're trying to accelerate over a bumpy road, you might get a sensation that feels a little bit like you're running out of power, but it's just the traction control looking out for you. Similar to the 300 GTS, the back brake is stronger than the front. Nobody wants to be locking a front wheel up on a scooter, even with ABS. So that seems to be a deliberate choice on the part of Vespa in terms of safety. And I imagine that goes back to the days when scooters didn't have ABS. You just had small front wheels and this low centre of gravity kind of pushing you along. And I think, if I remember rightly, older scooters used to have 10-inch wheels, not even 12-inch wheels. So the risk of locking up a front must have been quite high, potentially. So I just went round a roundabout, and I think between roundabouts maybe there was a mid-corner bump, and I was sat at a bit of an angle. There, yeah, mid-corner bumps, like when there's a trough across the road where cables or pipes have run and it's been relayed. Bumps when you're leant at an angle does upset the bike a little bit, but it doesn't take long for the chassis to regain its composure. Right, so I'm just exiting a 30 back to National. Let's get some speed up, shall we? 40, 50. Not taking long at all to get up to speed. Going around the corners on this scooter as a motorcyclist feels a bit odd, and I think part of the issue is there's nothing between your legs. There's nothing to naturally grip on or brace yourself against as you're going around corners. So I think that might be one of the things you have to get used to as a motorcyclist coming to a scooter. Just the lack of girth. Yeah, it feels a bit weird having your legs kind of close together. But if you're coming from another scooter, it's perfectly natural. Now that's not necessarily the case. There's quite a lot of scooters out there that do have, you know, a fair amount of bodywork or even a chassis between the legs, and that can make scooters of that kind of design a bit hard to mount. So it's quite easy to get yourself on this machine. It's, you know, literally a step through kind of design. Like the GTS 300, I imagine it's the same seat actually. There's a little ridge in the seat between the rider and the pillion sections, a little raise. And like I said on the 300, I kind of prefer if it wasn't there. I'd like to sit a bit further back without encountering that ridge, if that was possible, but it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. If you're a shorter person, then you'll be sitting a bit more forward, I imagine, and that wouldn't be an issue for you. But if you were, I don't know, 5'10", longer legs, you might naturally want to sit a bit further back. Then you probably will be sitting on that ridge that goes across the seat. There's not a lot you can do about it, I imagine. It's not uncomfortable. I just wish the ridge wasn't there, that's all. One thing I'm finding as I'm getting older and more broken is that with a motorbike, your feet are on foot pegs and they're pretty much stuck in one position. I'm finding my right knee particularly starting to give me a little bit of a jip, as they say, if I keep my leg in one position for too long. So you end up stretching it or trying to rest it on something sticking out of the bike, like a crash bar or something, just to stretch your leg out, or you stand up maybe. On a scooter, you've got the footboards. So I could potentially sit back quite a long way on the seat temporarily and pretty much stretch my feet out against the footboards. That's quite nice. So my feet aren't in the air, my legs are still warm behind the front of the bike, but I managed to stretch my legs out quite a bit. If I want to play it being a boy racer, I won't be able to show you this really so easily, but yeah, I could put my feet right back against the side covers where the engine and the back wheel is. You're probably not seeing anything there really to speak of, but yeah, I do like the flexibility there of being able to put your feet anywhere you want. And that makes this bike a good ergonomic fit for lots of people of different sizes. Here we are in another town. Now we're entering Burford, and I like how quiet this bike is, inoffensive. Okay, you might find people walking out in front of you because they don't hear you coming. That's likely to happen, especially little touristy towns like this, but it's nice not to make a racket. But if you drive past a bunch of kids and they do this, they're going to be in for a disappointment. Yeah, they might turn this into this. Oh, let's slow down a bit. If you're a fan of Harry's Garage, you'll recognise this little stretch of road. I've been on it quite a few times myself. And we'll get the throttle open here. I'm going really slow, 15 miles an hour. Let's accelerate, see what happens. Nice constant rate of acceleration there. Now we're at the speed limit. It's not super fast, but at the same time it's not slow. There's no difficulty in getting up to speed. Oh, I've got a bit of a challenge lined up now for this scooter, I've just remembered. Going right is what's known as the Charbury TT or Harry's Road. Going left, not sure where it leads exactly, but it's very bumpy. And in the name of science, I'm going to get up to the legal speed limit on this road and see how the bike handles it. Are there going to be any scary aspects to the handling on this bike on a bumpy road at speed? So far, no. I'm being bounced up and down quite a bit, but steering is hanging in there. It's going where it's pointed. Yeah, nothing wrong with that so far. At speed, I was doing a reasonable lick there. Those little wheels did not give me any cause for concern. Here we go again on a bit of rough road. Yeah, I've got to say, that is pretty impressive. Brakes, they're not strong. Well, the back is pretty strong, but that might kick off your ABS. Oh, that was a rough bit of road to slow down on, but it is still handling it well. Big braking, then slow down for the 30. Hey, nothing wrong with that. That was pretty solid braking there. Stable. Yes, the roads are nice and dry. Might be a little bit of heat in the tarmac. but a lot of confidence on the braking. And confidence is a word that keeps coming back. You might think with a scooter there'll be an inherent instability or flightiness which might erode confidence, and everything is relative, but I think this thing gives you confidence. There's one thing that I would like this scooter to have that it hasn't got: hill hold. So if I'm stopping somewhere and I'm fumbling with something on my person or on the bike, I'm using both hands, then obviously I've got no hands free to hold a brake. On a motorbike, you can be fumbling with both hands and at least put the bike into gear or use a back brake to hold the bike in position. Can't be doing that on a CVT scooter with 2 handbrakes on the handlebars. Some scooters come with parking brakes, that would be nice here, but pretty sure this has not got that. So some sort of parking brake or hill hold would be nice to have on this machine. Yeah, it's a stylish machine, isn't it? I hope you'll agree. This GTS Super, you can see not much chrome on it, so the trim around the bodywork and the headlight and even the mirrors, not chrome but black. We have this kind of a faux carbon fibre looking front there. We know it's not real carbon fibre, but it looks pretty decent all the same, and I quite take him with the orange accents on this machine. I'm wondering if this is actually a super sport rather than just a super. I have a feeling this is a super sport actually, and I think the go faster stripes kind of give it away. Settings, push down and hold. Nope. Oh yes, down. Settings, language, clock, units, pairing for your phone, backlight for the LCD, and there we go. That's the options there in the settings. It's quality. You got Vespa there, you got Vespa on the hand grips. We have a nice seat here. In fact, let's get the seat up. How do I do that again? Seat is up here. So decent sized storage, and I think certain jet style helmets will fit in there, even a couple of them perhaps, but yeah, they're a little limited on space, not really designed, I would say, for most crash helmets. If I lift this up, you can get to see what's going on inside. So nice quick access to the engine should you need it. It's also where you fill up with fuel, E5 or E10. You're not limited to E5 here. I think the fuel capacity is about 8.5 litres. I'll correct that if I'm wrong. Right, I'm going to get back to base now. Thanks again to Fraser's Gloucester for letting me out on this machine. It's an impressive piece of kit. I am quite tempted by it, I've got to say. Not just me saying that, it's really nice to ride. So it's time to wrap up the ride and summarise the bike. Pros and cons, starting with the pros. Pros, the highlight for me is the engine, smoothness, and the way it picks up and accelerates. It's just a well-rounded, well-developed 300 or circa 300cc engine. It might only produce 25 horsepower, I think that's about it, but there are times when it feels greater than that. There are times it feels like you got 25 horsepower, especially if you're trying to accelerate at a higher speed, but generally speaking it performs well for the output it gives you. And another pro is the handling. What it has done is surprised me. It has felt surprisingly stable for the way this bike is designed, and I'm impressed. Just impressed with the general road holding at higher speeds and slower speeds. The only thing I've felt that kind of upset it is, as I mentioned earlier, if there's kind of troughs along the road where there's been some road works that have been then filled in. I'm hitting those. If I'm hitting those at an angle, then the bike gets a bit upset, but it doesn't get upset for long. It gathers itself up nicely and then you just carry on. Cons. Yeah, hill hold or some sort of parking brake I think would be very nice on this machine. I try to think of another con. Maybe more adjustable suspension. You do have rear preload, but that's your lot basically in terms of adjustment. And if the under seat storage could actually take a full on crash helmet, that'd be nice. Okay, one more con. The indicator and the settings switch or the mode joystick, they're too close to each other. And I keep hitting the indicator thinking I'm changing the trip settings. So I've been riding this bike for about an hour longer than I had planned to today, and that's because I've just been enjoying just bimbling around, and all that bimbling footage won't make it into the video, but I've enjoyed riding this bike for about 4 hours now. It's been great, and somehow I'd like to get one of these in my shed at some point. Yes, if we're talking scooters, you know, the X-Max, the Forzas of this world, the BMWs, also very tempting propositions. But one of the selling points I think on this machine is its compact size and relatively lightweight. It strikes me as something that's going to be easy to live with. So there we have it. I think I'll wrap up now. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you like what I've done and you've had a little look around and like my other content. So hopefully I'll see you down in the comments down there. But even if I don't, it'd be great to have you along for the next video. So until the next one, folks, take care. Ta-da.